Okay, so welcome back to day one of your audit. Before we begin the discussion, I want to understand how your day went. So, can you give me quick insights in terms of what were you able to conclude or complete today? Let me start with Anurag. Anurag, how was your day and what did you achieve today?
Sir, I completed SA 700 series.
Hmm. So, how did you approach it? Give me a detailed insight on how did you approach it and what was achieved.
Sir, actually, I had Shubham Keswani material. So I referred that material, and
Mhm.
once I went through the concepts, then I practiced the question back.
Okay.
And wherever any difficulty was there, then I was asking like rest of the students. Like Govind, I
Mhm.
asked, Kalkish, I asked somewhere I was having any difficulty.
Mhm.
This is
Okay, one of the things which you have to be ready is sharing updates is not easy. So be very sharp in terms of how you're sharing the feedback. Let's say when you're interacting with any of the mentors, most of them are busy. So don't give vague answers on the top of which you won't be able to respond. So if you say one, two, three, these three are done, I am facing difficulty in one, two, three. Otherwise, it looks like a kindergarten schedule upon which we cannot do anything about. Okay, so always be ready for this. When you're sharing an update, be very specific and precise in terms of what has happened and what needs to be improved further. Okay, this is not easy, but I'm just giving a heads up. Anam, how did your day go?
Sir, I went through the concepts and I was going through it again,
Hmm.
first revision, but
Hmm.
I could not do the questions.
Hmm.
Mm, once the concepts are gone through only.
Okay, so I think I understood how it is going. Number one, after putting in 10 hours, there has to be something which has to clearly improve. So don't operate it with in a test match mentality where something will happen at some point of time. Today, when you're sitting on a particular topic for 8 to 10 hours, something should definitely improve. So focus on the clear-cut tangibles. This particular standard, let's say I was talking about 700 series, let's say 705. I finished the standard. Earlier clarity was not there. Now I'm able to answer the question, but still it has to improve. There has to be significant movement from point A to point B. So Maitreya, we have to figure out a way in terms of the tracking the transition. Otherwise, even after 100 days, they'll say the same thing. I did this, I did that, and it won't move the way it has to move. So I think there has to be a clear-cut tracking mechanism in terms of every 10 hours something should happen. I'm not talking about hourly basis. Every 10 hours something should move. You should be able to move, because if you look at the 100-day program, so unless you add at least a couple of marks to the numerator every single day, you won't get the ultimate outcome, right? All of a sudden nothing is going to change. So this is the mentality and approach in which you have to get started. So tomorrow I'll ask you about the update once again. I'm expecting far more precise and specific responses to this question. Now, Maitreya, over to you in terms of how we want to take this.
So, so this is one thing where tracking should be done. They should have self tracking what is being read in a single day, because end of the day everything seems to be done, but nothing is done. End of the 10th day, if the exam is conducted, uh, it's like diagnosing the problem at the initial level will be very easy for us to what we call cure, or else give some solution for. It's not that everybody can be starting with the same momentum, same what we call enthusiasm, and same correct path of learning, and they will be concluding it. It's like you should be able to explain us what are the problems that you're facing when you're learning. That's the basic thing you should be ready for. Not about audit, but any subject, because the more clearly you explain what you are doing in a day, the more clearly means not in the time length. It's about the pointers, 3 points or 4 points that are haunting me when I am reading. I'm not able to decode this thing. I'm making more mistakes in the questions. So I'm very slow at learning. I'm not able to cover more syllabus. So something or other will be there. So you need to figure out these things. These are not natural things. These are not things that should be happening. These are the things that should not be happening. So if 700 and 600 series are given for you to be completed in a day, they should be completed, because that's a predefined target which an average student will complete when he is reading for the first time. So there is no postponement, there is no procrastination in that, because once you are done with the audit in these 10 days, you never know. You will be doing with your FR SFM, if you are both group students, FR SFM DT IDT and something other IBS, and your audit is gone. You will not get the luxury of understanding the subject and reading the subject in this stretch if these 10 days are gone. So this is the mentality you need to inculcate by starting reading. So this is one thing I want to tell. So any challenges? Again, if you are reading, obviously you should be getting challenges. How small that should be, you should be able to bring it up, and we will be able to solve it.
Like I was doing this for the first time,
Mm,
700 series.
mm.
Like I was taking a lot of time. Like till the in the first morning session, we did that
Mm,
objectives thing. Then
mm,
then when I started reading, the like it took the whole like in 3 hours I was able to do 25 pages, 30 pages. Like with
mm,
deep understanding also, this
mm,
much I was able to cover. But there are suppose 100 pages, so matlab, I was not able to cover the whole portion. So
mm.
am I doing something wrong? What improvement should I make to complete it fast?
So, so I do understand when you're reading it for the first time, it's like combining the sentences and understanding what is a paragraph takes time. So that is what is taking time for you. When you're reading study material, it obviously takes time. So, sir, how many students are reading audit for the first time? It's like they don't have any base or something. Uh,
See, Maitreya, the way we are looking at it is, uh, even though students have read it, that's a bigger problem because even after putting in, let's say, 3 attempts of effort, they're still stuck at 25, 30. The way we're looking at it is the
mm-hmm,
cycle which you are preparing, that will
mm-hmm,
increase the base. Now someone's base is zero, half of them the base is zero, half
mm-hmm,
of them is around 25, 30. So in
mm-hmm,
this cycle, we're only looking at improvement of the base. If you already have a context, probably you can improve 3 marks per day. Otherwise, you'll improve
mm-hmm,
2 marks per day. Something has to improve. So I
mm-hmm,
want them to understand the first perspective because the knowledge which is not useful, which cannot be converted into the marks, is absolutely useless. So that way, we are not giving it, I would say, too much importance in terms of the differentiation. And the other thing, see, especially for audit, learning happens in layers. For example, if we have to teach them Ind AS 115, we can probably force them a 6 to 8 hour window where they see the end of the standard in just one single sitting. Audit,
mm-hmm.
we rarely see that scenario where it's done and dusted.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. I do
it's
understand.
it happens in layers. Now, to the
Mm-hmm,
extent which happens, now to give a simple example, if you
mm-hmm,
have to chase 220 overs, what is the best way to chase? 10 overs
mm-hmm,
per 10
mm-hmm,
runs per over is the easiest way. It is the safest way. Right?
mm-hmm,
10 runs per nothing more, nothing less. Otherwise, you lose wickets. So
mm-hmm,
that is exactly how we are operating. That
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean you push the whole target chasing to the 16th over. Now you just
mm-hmm,
start with the same intensity, right from over and maintain that intensity, which I guess is still lacking. The way I'm seeing it, it's still lacking. They're going with the mentality that the real thing has to happen some point of time. They're not able to bring that intensity onto day one or day two. So I think this is something which I clearly want to address from tomorrow. So probably tomorrow I'll spend at least a session with each of them in different
mm-hmm,
places. So that's where we
mm-hmm.
get it. Yeah, I think back to the question. Right now, I don't think we should pay too much importance to the starting point because both of them have their respective advantages and disadvantages, which makes it an equalizer. Which
That is very right. When you're reading it for the first time, also you'll be having very advantage that the first understanding is correct understanding.
absolutely.
So, so the regarding the question she asked about the pace, I'm able to cover 25 pages, 30 pages. So there is one thing in the audit that whole page can be condensed into 2 sentences. Whole page will be talking about only 3 sentences or 4 sentences. The study material is framed in such a way that it is more elaborate. If you try to understand the 25 pages which you have read, you will know that it is all about only 2 to 3 pages. So I'm telling, just glance through it. If you glance through the page, you will be knowing what is in the page. I don't know what is her name, but
Vanshika.
Vanshika. So it's not like you are pinpointing everything. You're understanding and going forward. Right? Are you able to understand what I'm telling? Again, it's not newspaper reading. It's understanding each page, but not spending more time on the page. So if there are 10 pages for a standard, really 2 to 3 pages matter for you. So when you are reading or starting the standard, this comes with the practice. When you are reading or starting the standard, you will understand what is the key area and what are the examples or what are the other things that are being added. What are the repetitive things in the standard? When you are moving forward, you would understand this. So your pace will gradually pick up. So, but 25 to 30 is something you need to push yourself.
Sir, in the 3 hours, like
Okay, in the 3 hours. 3 hours is nice. 3 hours is fine. I thought in the whole day it's 25 to 30 pages.
well, it was 58 pages like this.
No, if it is 25 to 30 pages per 3 hours, it's like whole day you're studying around for 9 to 12 hours. It should be more.
So
Mm.
So it's
Maitreya,
like,
this time, sorry to interrupt. So this time
uh,
I'm very specific about few things.
hmm,
Yesterday in the induction, these guys were there at the puja when
hmm,
we perform. I told one thing very clearly.
hmm,
The only metric is marks. Let's
hmm,
not add anything. Let's not talk about hours. Let's not talk about pages.
hmm,
We're not talking about hours. We're not talking about pages. Let's
hmm,
clearly track marks.
hmm,
See, I'm being very honest here.
hmm,
If all of these guys have to repeat what they're already doing, there is
hmm,
no freaking way that they'll clear this exam. Because
hmm,
100 days is not definitely not enough. Because if you repeat what you're doing, we are
hmm,
collapsing the whole structure. The current
hmm,
structure in terms of the learning framework is not
hmm,
helpful, and
hmm,
people understand this. We had discussed multiple times. Uh, Unlike other institutions where they pick up the cream of the cream to crack a particular exam, in CA, we operate with a different dynamic here. So I'm not relying heavily on that past to extend it. I want to collapse it and rebuild a new base. So when it has to happen, we are putting that into the same compartment of how we are already doing and trying to fit this system into your ecosystem. It's going to be very tough. I'm saying leave that. Now, what is the metric? Now, it's not about pages. Now, there is a particular standard. Out of a particular standard, let's once again, SA 705, a 5 mark question is asked. Now, what are the types of questions which are commonly asked? It takes you only 10 minutes to understand it. When you put it in mental intent, go through the learning outcomes. Go through the learning outcomes. 90% of the questions are framed from the learning outcomes. 100% of the questions are framed from the index. So index, let's say index has 10 points for 100%. Learning outcomes has 5 points for 90%. So if you understand the learning outcomes, you'll be able to know what to pick up. So it's a significant mental shift in terms of how you're learning it. The existing process, you talk about pages, you talk about numbers, you talk about hours, it's not going to work. Clearly go through learning outcomes, look at the summary, go through the question and answer, come back and quickly pick up some pointers. Please understand this, on the day of the exam, you're only writing half a page answer. For you to write half a page, you don't have to buy out half a book. Half a page answer with 4 to 5 keywords, with specific understanding the question is required. For that to happen on the day of the exam, you have to change everything from today. Otherwise, it's like scoring 1 run per over and then trying to score 40, 50 runs per over. It's not going to happen. So get that exam intensity. What would you do between 1.5 days? The game is simple. What people do in October, if you start doing in August, it'll clear. So this is not yet happening. This is exactly what I want to replicate. Tomorrow we'll execute it. But Vanshika, get rid of the regular need to go through all the pages, pick up something. You're studying it in a very conventional manner, very schoolish perspective. That is exactly what is happening. So stick to the process. And when a specific timeline is given by me or my class, stick to that. The reason why we are giving it is we are forcing you to learn faster. If you expand it, it's gone. The idea is not to get 100% out of it. The idea is to get the maximum benefit out of the minimum time possible. If you get 90% in 1 hour, if you want to get 100%, it takes 3 to 4 hours, which is useless. Okay, so we'll get back to the questions. Maitreya, just take them to the flow of the session. Tomorrow I'll fix this. I understand the gap which
hmm.
they're having. I'll
That's
fix it
what
tomorrow
I'm
first thing.
telling. It's whatever may be the different things that we would be helping them. The thing should be such a way that uh, it should not take. What I'm intending to tell is you should understand that if you start reading audit, it will take 100 days for you to complete the audit book in such a way that you will be understanding every line and completing it. End of the day, we are reading it for the marks, as sir said. You should push yourself in such a way that with that intensity that things should be completed. But the quality should be maintained, the intensity should be maintained. Your brain starts working in such a way that you will be picking up the right things. The learning outcomes will guide you to pick up what is right in the book. So that is what, but it's very hard. It will be done. It will be done.
Execute, yeah.
That is what we will be helping you with. So we will do it. So any more questions?
How many of you are done with the chart which we asked to prepare? But for the 7 chapters, how many of you are done? The comparison chapter all stands. All of you done it? Okay, I'll have a review after the session. Good. So what's the outcome? Can somebody explain any particular chapter? Looking at the chart, can you explain this? Who is explaining chapter 1? SQC1 versus 220. Who is going? This might probably this will get help us understand their level of picking up insights. Probably we'll go through couple of chapters.
Okay, done.
So one of you go with chapter 1. Explain what you've written. Chapter 1. Take a picture and share it in the group from your all of you who have done it. Please post the pictures in the respective groups. Quickly post the pictures and share it on the screen as you're explaining. We can start explaining. The other one can click a picture. Make it fast. Click pictures and post it in the group. Post your work in the group, WhatsApp group. Quickly do it.
So should I give overview of SQC1?
Yes. What are it? SQC1 versus 220, the order in which I asked you. Just do it in the
SQC1, sir. Yeah, I'll just give a brief idea about it. I've done entire. SQC1 talks about the entire firm, quality control for firm that perform audit and review of historical financial information and other assurance related service engagement. And SA220 is about quality control for audit of financial statement. Now, SQC1 applies to the entire firm, but here it applies only to SA220 to particular audit engagement. This is the basic distinction between two. And talking about SQC1, there are some elements of system of quality control like human resource monitoring, leadership responsibility, and all those things. And in that, there are some specific points like acceptance and continuance of client relationship with respect to that matters which are need to be considered with respect to integrity of the clients. And there are some specific matters to be considered with this. And apart from the 2-3 points are relating to engagement quality control reviewer, engagement quality control reviewer consultation we need to take with the engagement quality control reviewer, and SAT 220 engagement partner additional matters which need to be consulted with engagement quality control reviewer. And apart from this, there is some 3 boards: peer review board, quality review board, and NAFRA. Yeah, and some specific topics are there, but there are detail I can't speak. I know that, but yeah.
This
is it. This is it.
This is what you have to know today.
This is what we have to know exactly. Some people know this before the day of exam in the 1.5 day. So this is what you need to know. I am unable to explain what is to be done. This is what is to be done. This is what we are expecting when we ask you to complete 700, 600 in a day. Obviously, nobody will be. If you ask me to explain any standard, I will be explaining you in the same sense. If you pick me up in the middle of the night, and even if you ask me to explain 570, I will be explaining you in the same sense. 580, I will be explaining you in the same sense. So this is the framework you need to build. There will be some gaps that can be done in the second cycle. That will be very easy for you. So this is there, this is there. So pointers, everything, what is need to be written in the exam, everything can be built on this base. Building base is very hard. If the base is done, marks can be built on that. So if you understand, most of you read SQC1, right? How many of you are you able to recall or remember or are able to capture these points when you are preparing the chat? Be honest. How many of you are able to learn in this perspective? Just come out and tell. Or how do we know? Sir, ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది మనకి వీళ్ళు ఎవరు అలా తెలుసుకున్నారు లేదో అనేది? Or people just type in the chat or something?
No. Basically, I think we have to extract oral responses. Okay. Soundarya, for you to recall this, what's the challenge you're facing? Now, if you have to understand Maitriya's question, are you able to get the extract out of each standard in this dimension today? So what?
Basically, when I was doing the objective, the chart, basically, I was able to do that.
Hmm.
That particular thing, I'm able to do that. I'm able to understand and everything is fine. But
Hmm.
now, I don't know. Somewhere in recalling, there's a problem.
Okay. You pick up any chapter and explain as a couple of standards.
Yep. Yep. Even if 700, 600, anything would be fine. Just explain.
Hmm.
Explain any standard from there. Just think through, top of your mind.
No, sir. I'm able to, everything is like getting confused. I'm not able to go
No,
through the
that's what it is.
No.
We want to understand what you're understanding. The idea is not to judge you or something.
Mm.
We need to know what you do not know or what you know. Explain any particular standard. I'm not giving you a choice. The only choice is which standard you're going to explain, not whether you want to explain or not. This inhibition will prevent you from writing your day end revision, and also it will prevent you from attempting the exam properly. So your ability to write something based on what you have is something which you have to build. So just go ahead. Talk about risk assessment. To the extent you can talk about any one standard from risk assessment. 300 series, pick up something.
auditors, basically.
You need not be correct. It's not about correct or wrong. It's about what are you able to recall. It's
Yeah.
pretty. What are you able to recall? If you ask me something today, if you ask any qualified chartered accountant, he may be wrong, he may be right, but he comes up with something. That's what CA degree gives you. So you need to be ready before the degree only. So come up with something about the standard. Come up with something, no issue.
So this is exactly what people feel in the examination hall. You just feel, constipated that you just can't do anything about it. And with this, suddenly your brain and hand function gets collapsed. Your hand will start writing some nonsense without your brain working on it. So this is a simulated scenario where you feel that you know something, but then the connection is off. So you have to practice working on it right away. So you're speaking something out there, anything. I just said 315 as a reference or 300 series as a reference. Pick up one standard, explain a standard, any particular standard.
No, something it would be popping in your mind. Just bring it out.
Harshita, what did you study there?
Sir, so I've made the chart for all the standards until
Hmm.
700,
Hmm.
and that's it. So because I had to study for SCPM.
No, pick up something. You made
Okay.
7 charts. Talk about one standard, any one standard which you can talk about.
Okay. Mm. Sir, essay 320,
Hmm.
it talks about materiality.
Hmm.
So when we talk about materiality, auditor sets a standard
Hmm.
where below the above this limit, whatever statements that he identifies, they are
Hmm.
considered to be like material. He
Hmm.
gives more focus on them. And then there
Hmm.
is another level which is set by the auditor, which is performance materiality,
Hmm.
which is the total of all the uncorrected misstatements should not exceed this level. If they exceed, they are also considered to be material. So this is SA 320. In this, auditor also plans the audit based on the statements that he has found, and sometimes in cases of performance materiality, he might also have to revise the materiality level In that case, he will revise the materiality level and plan for further audit procedures, or uh, revise the audit plan that has already been made. This is about SA 320, sir.
Okay, fair. Someday you're ready? Soundarya.
With standards of 300.
Anything you pick up.
200. 200 is overall objectives of an independent auditor and conducting an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. What it basically says is whether the auditor is able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in order to give his report. Sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in order to know if there is a material misstatement that is being occurred due to fraud or error, and later on report on the same in accordance with the standards on auditing. Then it talks about audit risk also. Audit risk is basically a combination of inherent control and detection risk. Inherent risk is a risk that is basically there in the industry, in the nature of the industry. And in order to mitigate the inherent risk, you introduce control into the system. So inherent and control risk together gives you the risk of material misstatement. How far is the financial statement misstated, clearly misstated because of the misstatements? And in order to risk of material misstatement and detection risk will give you the audit risk, which is inversely proportional. Higher the risk of material misstatement, lower will be your detection risk, and it's the inverse of that. It's similar to that. Then what are the attributes is he has to be independent. He needs to maintain an attitude of professional skepticism and professional behavior, confidentiality, etc.
Fair enough. Okay. So Maitreya, what we can do is probably tomorrow, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., let them write an exam. So this exam, I want them to hit a range of 10 to 20 marks. Okay. Because we have to start somewhere. It's been a couple of days. So they should be able to get at least 10 marks. So we're looking at 10 to 20 marks. And then after 3 days, one more exam. The base should move to 25 to 35, something like that. So one more exam, they have to cross 40. So I think we need to increase the intensity. Otherwise, even after 3 days, this is where they stay. They have to get the realities right. So what I want you to do is tell them what they have to do in the next 10 hours, which will increase the possibility of them crossing the 10 or 20. Okay, just focus on this limited target, not the overall audit subject. So decide the topic, tell them how they have to do it, and that's about it. Then you can conclude the session. This is exactly what I want from you to do.
So, in the next 10 hours, already you have done your SA 700, 600, hoping so. So, start with SA 500 series. It is pretty much important series and it will be covering around 10 standards. So, 500, 501, 510, 520, 530, 540, 550. So, from 540, 550, 560, 570, 580. These standards are pretty much important for the exam, and these standards will improve your learning, what we call perspective. So the standards which you have come up with, 200, 320, these standards are not working standards. These are base standards. The real work standard starts in 500 series, from 540, 550, 560, 570. The real intensity develops when you do these standards. So this is real game changer for you. Once you are done with these standards tomorrow, you are done with 10 standards in the 32 standards or 36 standards. So start with these standards. If you want something in time allocation sense, 500 to 530 would be pretty simple for you. Go through them quickly, do it. 540 to 580, give them some enough time, go through what is the judgment or opinion given by the auditor, link it with your 700 series, make some what we call brain work, use some pen and paper. uh, so that would be very useful for you, and you will be leveled up by the end of the day. So this is what I'm thinking. You can go with some easy things also. You can start with professional ethics and all that, but that does not increase your intensity. If you want to level up the game, start with 500 series. 540 to 580 would be a game changer for you. Once you're confident in that, you can what you call do anything or else decode anything in the audit. That would be really great. So start with 500 series tomorrow. Make sure that you're doing it what we call with consciousness. It's not like again going upside. Estimates is estimates. There will no. What is there in SA 540? SA 540 start with estimates. What are estimates? Why we are doing audit of the estimates? It's just if you read 20 pages of the book, if you are not getting this premise of this audit standard, you cannot write the answer for the question. So if HF, let me explain one standard for you. So what is the flow? So I read audit some long days back. So let me check how much I am able to remember. So SA 540, SA 570, SA 560, these are very big standards where people get trouble. So SA 540 is estimates. So why do auditors audit the estimates? Because everything other than estimates in the financial statements have a base, proper base where the auditors perform substantive procedures or analytical procedures and they arrive at a conclusion. But the estimates are the area where potential risk is hidden and a proper guideline should be given by the ICA to audit such estimates. So the standard is included. So what is the name of the chapter? Standard SA 570. Estimates, fair value estimates and the disclosures. So estimates are different, fair value estimates are different. What are the estimates? Estimates are generally numbers which the management cannot establish them in a particular with a particular base. They are vague, so the potential risk will be high. Auditor should perform extra procedures. So what are the potential questions from the standards? So generally audit is based upon the risk. All we do is internal audit, stat audit, every audit is based upon the risk. Every standard is included to reduce the audit risk and detection risk, to safeguard the auditors and to establish more reliance on the financials. So this is clear. This is the base for your audit. So coming next, what are the questions or what are the main components of this SA 540? So again coming this, what are the estimates that are having estimates leads to uncertainty. If you are estimating about something, the happening of that estimate brings uncertainty into the picture. So what are the estimates having low uncertainty? What are the estimates having high uncertainty? So again common sense. If there is low uncertainty, they are particularly very common in the market, happening things, regularly happening things. There is a standard financial reporting framework is established. What are the estimates having high uncertainty? These are the estimates where there is no financial reporting framework available in the market. uh, the business is pretty complex. So this is the base. So coming up to the next part. So uncertainty, low uncertainty estimates, high uncertainty estimates. Again coming to the definition, what are fair value estimates? Estimates which involve fair value to derive at the estimates are called fair value estimates. Generally if you look at these things, fair value is something which we will be using heavily in the financial reporting. Again one thing you need to integrate this thing. We are auditing the financial statements. Everything that comes in the audit is in the financial reporting. So this is a bit hard, but you need to understand this. So every fair value estimates is linked with financial statements. SA 109 we do discounting, one or two share based payments, one or three business combination, India 16 consideration thing. So these are the things you need to link into it. So you know got this premise or definitions understanding of what are these estimates and what are fair value estimates. Then you will be doing the audit. So what is the general practice by the management? What does the management do to establish correct estimates? So what is the documented thing or what is the general practice by the management? Is that being implemented rightly or not? So this is one thing. Coming back, how do you establish that? What are the risks that may be involved in the making the estimates? What are the gaps that are there while making the estimates? That you will perform your procedures, analytical procedures. So one more thing is that you will be observing the last year established estimates, such that if the last year estimates are there, your reliance on the current year estimates will improve. So it's clear. Again, we are making it as practical as possible. Then everything is done, everything is clear. You will give an opinion. You will what we call You will frame an opinion on that. You will be obtaining written representation, SA 580, link it with SA 580. Then you will be giving an opinion as per SA 700. And you will also look after estimates, fair value estimates, and disclosures. Disclosures are pretty much important. We leave them generally in FR. Every chapter you study have disclosures, but we don't read them because they don't come in the exam. But disclosures are pretty much important in the practical life. So as an auditor, you need to understand whether disclosures are made. Disclosures are intended to make the intended users or the stakeholders who is a layman to understand what is being done in the financial statement. So you will check the disclosures regarding the estimates, what are the assumptions taken, what are the methods used to make the estimates, and the standard is closed. So this is the framework. At least 60% of this framework should be built when you conclude the audit, when you conclude the chapter, when you conclude the standard. So make sure that you go in this flow. 570 stays in this flow, 560 stays in this flow, 550 stays in this flow. So make sure that you are putting some thought into it and completing these standards. Your intensity will be picked up, your confidence will be picked up by the end of the day. We will be writing an exam and this can be done. And most of the any paper you see, 700 one standard will be there, 500 one standard will be there, 5 plus 5 10 marks you will be scoring, and 620 can be linked into it. If you are not able to, if the management is not able to make expert estimate, they'll be getting in the expert. How the management is using the work of the expert, 500 is linked. Auditor can bring in the expert to understand the estimate, 620 can be linked. So this is the game. Just try to link, push your brain. It's all about you. So this is the premise. So start reading 500 series. It will be pretty interesting. So it's it.
Fair enough. I think this is the approach which you should follow. Number one, the first thing which you have to understand is get into an active preparation mode. The passive preparation, focus on learning, not studying. Studying is a useless activity. Studying is an absolute most. I would say it can be completely removed. It can be complete. It's like people saying schooling is important for your success. So you understand the correlation now. So that is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Studying as a function is absolutely useless in this scenario. Focus on learning. Learning can happen without studying when you bring in that extra intent. What is that intent? You are approaching it with a sense of urgency. You're approaching with a sense of intensity. This is hard to maintain for the body. So a lot of it has to it has to translate into how you operate during that 1.5 day before the exams. At that point of time, you have too much of intensity, but you don't have clarity about what to do. Now you have intensity and clarity. That is the reason why more than that 1.5 day, this 1 day should be far more useful. So tomorrow 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. we're all writing an exam. We'll give you question papers. And the objective is to start between 10 to 20. If you score more, that's fantastic. But even if you do not know anything, still you have to end up getting that. So when you have to score this, already you did something today. So tomorrow from 5 a.m. to let's say 12 o'clock before lunch, complete the 500 series, because most likely the 10 marks will be coming from 500 series itself. Plus 2 to 5, re-revise, you have done everything in audit so far, including index mapping, including writing the summary pages, only revision. And then you kind of extract the essence and dump it into the exam from 6 to 8. That becomes the starting point for our next exam. So all the papers, we are going from milestone to milestone. So every 3 days there will be an exam, most likely. So this is very difficult and complex for us to manage, but I believe this is the right thing to do because it helps you. It helps you move from point A to point B, and also you have reasonable time. Let's say 30 hours is a good time for you to improve at least 10 marks. Sounds fair? Okay. So tomorrow I'll meet you all, and at that point of time I'll be able to give you some micro level corrections. So for now, we're concluding the session now. Write day and revision compulsorily. Write day and revision for 15-20 minutes. Write previous day revision. These are two things which you have to do. Okay, day and revision, previous day revision. We'll check the quality of it tomorrow, and that's about it. And we'll have a post-exam discussion at 8 o'clock. We'll finish your lunch, dinner, sorry, and then we'll discuss tomorrow around the same time, 9 p.m. Matri, after we do this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would be
Okay.
great. I'll
All
be
the best.
available this weekend, mostly Saturday, Sunday. I'll be there. So any
Perfect. So
challenges?
based on the
you can
test,
think of.
you'll be able to put in tomorrow once they write the test. So during the weekend, you'll be able to personally spend more time to fix the
Yeah.
individual gaps. We'll
Yes.
create a scenario where tomorrow's test will take it as a base, and then we'll create a, I would say, a common tracker where we look at the strengths and weaknesses. We'll discuss that in Saturday session. I think this can be a good base for us to work. Hmm?
Yes, that would be
All
correct.
right, yes. Thanks for joining us. Just stick to the targets and